Hello, I'm an old fart, and I have a guilty pleasure. I like knives. I'm not an expert or an official representative of anything or anybody. I just like knives. And you've been joining me on a decreasingly frequent basis as we take a little tour through my collection of small folding pocket knives. Thanks for joining. For people who've been following for a while, I've been away for a couple of months now, and I did warn you after the last video that until then we had been backlogging things that were already in my collection, in some cases for decades. And that's basically caught up now. So now there are going to be new videos appearing at the speed of either new acquisitions, or every now and then I have a video in mind based on old stuff that I just haven't put together, videos on certain subsets in the collection and things. So anyway, this is the first video since we caught up with the backlog and represents an actual new acquisition. So, new knife day. Always a fun thing. This came up in one of the knife newsletters that I read as a new supplier and a new manufacturer and a collaboration of some people that I respect, and it looked pretty handsome in the photo, so I thought I'd give it a try. So this is a Superlative Cannibal. So Superlative knives, well, they're new. And they are, according to their news or press releases, they are a joint venture between three designers, Pena, Garcia, and Oser. Honestly, I don't know Garcia and Oser's work, but I can see Pena in this, and I do like Pena knives very much. So that and the handsome photo made me think it was worth giving it a try. So far, this is the only product listed on their webpage, but the webpage suggests that there will be others. And as I'm going to explain in a moment, I like this one a lot, and I'll certainly try other things that they come up with as well. So it's a knife, duh. This is a front flipper frame lock knife. There's the front flip mechanism, and it is a traditional frame lock knife. Now I notice that this specific frame lock design, where most of the lock bar is covered with a scale, some manufacturers like Vero call that a bolster lock. However, this manufacturer calls it a frame lock, so we'll stick with that phrase. It's running on caged bearings. It is a front flipper with a nice, fairly easy flip mechanism. You can also thumb flip it across the end, sort of like the Kaiser Feist. There we go. I don't like doing that. You can see I was a little nervous there, because when I thumb flip, I don't have as good a grip on the knife. And this one front flips so easily where I can still be holding the knife securely that I just feel a lot safer doing it that way. So I'm calling it a front flipper. The other interesting thing about it is you can actually open it two-handed quite easily. There is no nail nick, but there's enough blade there that you can grab it in the meat of your thumb and forefinger, and the detent is soft enough that you can pull it open two-handed. And we're going to come back to that as a way to make it non-threatening when that matters. So let's talk about some specifications. The size, it's 178 millimeters when open, which, to use our old familiar scale, is about 0.97 pocket calculators. And for people who don't find that a useful comparison, let's look at the Benchmade Mini Griptilian, kind of my standard. Mini Grip is 172, the Cannibal 178, so it's slightly longer than a Mini Grip. Is there anything that's the same as? Well, sure, in my collection it's the same length as a Monterey Bay Knives Mini Old Guard. A very different knife, as you can see, much more slender, almost stiletto shaped in comparison, but the same length. The weight is 77 grams, which is about the same as those other two knives, about the same as the Mini Grip and so on. So a mid-size, mid-weight knife. The blade. Well, the blade is M390 steel, which I like a lot. This particular one is PVD black coated. Particle vapor deposition, is that what the P is for? Particle vapor deposition? Anyway, a way of coating a blade that is really tough. So although, as we'll talk about later, I'm not generally a fan of black blades, it looks kind of nice on this one. It is a Wharncliffe blade. Again, I'm not a huge fan of Wharncliffes, but it's okay. It's what's available, and it does have some useful properties. And there is a small sharpening choil, which is nice. So you can sharpen this blade without endangering the shoulder. It's especially important on black blades because scraping the shoulder would show up as a bright spot, which of course would be a horrible thing. The body is titanium underbody with micarta scales, black micarta here. No doubt there will be other options as they move ahead. There is a clip. It is a milled titanium shallow clip. And there's no lanyard hole, but there is a lanyard pin. See if I can get that. There we go. So you can put a lanyard around that pin. And what I do like when a knife uses a pin for lanyards is that opening is blocked. So there's no access to the blade in there. Some knives that use a lanyard pin, the lanyard is sitting close to the live blade and can be eroded and cut. Not this one. So a decent way to attach a lanyard or a fob if you care about that. How about ambidextrousness, ambidextrositude? So for opening, yes, as a front flipper, it's equally easy to open. I can't do it, but it would be equally easy for a lefty to open it. I'm not going to try, I'll cut myself. Closing, well, as a frame lock, I would find that awkward with my left hand, but one of my left-handed friends tells me it's not really a big deal. And for the clip, no, the clip is one side only. It's mounted in a recess on this side, and there is no facility to put it on the other side. Manufacturing, these are designed by those three designers and manufactured in China by Riat, which is a very high-end China-based manufacturer. So very good manufacturing tolerances. We'll come back to that. So there's a lot to like about this knife, especially as a first offering. Here's some of the things I like. The mechanism is great. This is an easy flip. I'm not a big fan of front flippers because I dropped one once by fumbling with it and cut myself rather badly, and I've been afraid of them ever since. This is an easy one to use. You can hold the knife securely. Because the scales are covering the lock bar on this side, there's no danger about compressing the lock bar, making it impossible to open, and it just flips nice and secure and safe feeling. So it's a really pleasant mechanism and one of the least scary front flippers that I have. A good amount of detent. It doesn't feel like it's going to fall open in my pocket, but it's not hard to open. I have some flippers that are so strongly detented that I have trouble opening them. It has a great lock when open. There's a hardened steel insert there, so the lock is nice and secure, and there's no feeling of grinding as you unlock it, and there's no lock stick. So good opening mechanism, good lock, like both of those things. There is, as I said, there is also the option to open it with two hands, and I like that. Now, that is certainly not a design intent. If it was, there'd be a nail nick, but it's easy to do, and I like that. For unlocking, there is thumb clearance there. It's very subtle. You can't see the thumb clearance from the side. You have to look in, and then you can see there is a slight milled recess on both sides. Just gives you a little bit more room to get the meat of your thumb in there for unlocking. So a little thoughtful touch that I like. And there is a bit of jimping on the lock bar. Again, just to make it a little easier to operate with your thumb. So really nice, thoughtful touches, well designed. I like the build. The fit and finish is perfect. It's not easy to see all this in all this black on black, but yeah, you can see the boundary between the micarta and the titanium there. There's no ridge there. That is a perfect fit. And the blade centering is perfect. Just really good, high tolerance manufacturing. I like the blade a lot. I love M390 steel. I'm not usually crazy about black blades because, to me, they say, I'm a ninja wannabe. My blade is black, so my enemies don't see me, and I'm not trying to project that message. In fact, I don't like it. But I do find, honestly, the black PVD here is very handsome. And unlike a simple painted blade, this will not scratch easily. I will notice that after cutting a bunch of cardboard with it the other day, there is some snail trailing happening. There we are. Some snail trailing happening on the black surface. but it's not scratched through to where you're seeing shiny steel. And I don't find it objectionable. You have to look at it in the right light to even see it. The other thing I'll say about the blade is, well, first of all, it's very sharp out of the box. And I appreciate this, it is ground perfectly symmetrical. And a lot of production knives just don't take that level of care. So love the blade. Like the appearance, it's with one exception, it's simple, it's utilitarian, it's just, no tactical decorations. It has a bit of a shape to it. The slightly curved and slightly tapered shape looks like a designed shape, but it does actually fit the hand very well. Micarta is comfortable to hold. This is highly polished micarta, so it doesn't feel like you're hanging on to worn denim, and it will patina with time through the oils in the hand and just become a little more personal. So I like all that about its appearance. And finally, using it. Well, as I said, first of all, it is comfortable to hold. Micarta is nice. The very subtle shaping of the body ends up becoming finger grips. There's no hot spots. The clip is small and low enough that it isn't creating a hot spot, so it's just comfortable to hold and a useful blade shape. Despite the fact that I don't really like the look of Wharncliffe's, the long, straight surface and the very pointy point really does make it a great blade for piercing and cutting cardboard boxes, for example. A few things I don't like. The first, actually, I don't know if I have it handy here. Here we are. Your first impression of a knife when you unwrap it is the box, of course. So here's the box that came with this knife. Very cool logo on the surface. Open it up, and the lid comes off. Because this side is supposed to be glued. There's the glue strip, and it had let go. So instead of the nice, elegant hinged opening that was supposed to happen, my first impression is a box whose adhesive fell apart. Obviously, that doesn't affect the knife at all, but I will say I've noted in online forums, several people have commented on the box falling apart in their hands. So it's not creating a great first impression, guys, and you need to fix that. The other thing that I'll say I don't like, again, it's not really about the knife, but about the name. So Superlative as the company name and Cannibal as the knife name, and I will overlay those on this screen. Both are spelled in a funky way, and that drives me crazy. First of all, taking notes for myself for this review, these names are basically designed to upset autocorrect. Every time I type them, autocorrect tries to fix them, and I have to go back and unfix them. And I gotta just say, what's wrong with using actual words? I do not understand this obsession, especially in the United States, with deliberately misspelling words. I don't find that cool or interesting. It doesn't draw my attention anymore, and honestly, it bugs me. Now, again, that doesn't affect the knife at all, but as a branding decision, I think it was a bad one. The other thing I'll mention, the milled clip. Nice, elegant clip, shaped in several dimensions. That's neat. It's quite a solid clip. It is milled, so there's not a lot of give there. And that tongue inside the clip there is quite steep. That plus the stiffness means that this clip is not easy to get over the seam on my blue jeans. If you had very flat, even cloth pants, it wouldn't be a problem. But you know how most denim jeans have a double layer and some stitching on the edges. And this is not easy to get over the seam on my jeans. I actually have to use two hands to get the clip on and off of my jeans. Final thing on the don't like list. Again, I mentioned I'm not really crazy about Wharncliffe's, and the reason is it's a very stabby looking point. Now, it's very useful for piercing boxes, for example, but it looks like it was designed to pierce people. And I don't like knives that look like weapons. So, if and when they offer this knife or something similar to it in a less threatening blade design, I'll certainly go for it, because I'm not a big fan of the Wharncliffe's, even though they are a useful blade. So anyway, lots to like, and most of my dislikes aren't really about the knife, so those are fairly minor. Well, let's reflect that by going through my internationally unknown knife rating system. We'll start with the NTGK rating, which is for non-threatening gentleman's knife, and we'll do non-threatening first. So the good news as non-threatening is it's not a conspicuous knife. It doesn't, when you first take it out of your pocket, it doesn't say knife, by having, fluorescent green bits and zombie barbs on it. And you can open it two-handed, which makes it non-threatening, even if that is not by design. And no features that are primarily tactical, no barbs and jags and things on it. So, that's good. The bad news for non-threatening is that, as a flipper, when you flip it, there really isn't any way to open a flipper in a non-threatening manner. When you flip that open, people who don't know knives go, oh my God, is that a switchblade? I thought those were illegal, blah, blah, blah. And then, no amount of explaining that, well, no, there's no spring in it and so on. What's remains on their mind is that invisibly fast opening that they just saw. So to be non-threatening, use the two-handed option. The other thing, as a non-threatening thing on the bad side, as I said, the Wharncliffe blade is very stabby looking. It's designed to stab. It stabs things easily. Funny story. I was at a family gathering recently, and somebody brought along one of those packages of, a dozen, or I don't know, it might have been 16 bottles of water, the half-liter bottles. And the kind where the entire thing is shrink wrapped with a plastic covering. And that needed to be opened. So I got out this knife and just gently ran, along one edge of the shrink wrap to create a slit so that people could pull the bottles out. And the first bottle that came out went and soaked the person that was carrying it, because when I pierced the shrink wrap and just did this, I sliced one of the bottles open, and I didn't even realize I had done it. The blade is so piercy and so sharp that I had cut something I didn't intend to. I did not confess that I did that, and I think none of those family members watch these videos, so I'm probably safe. And the final thing under non-threatening is that, of course, the black blade, an all-black knife. Well, black is for mercenaries. It's so that you can sneak up on your enemies in the dark, and the glint of the moon on your knife does not give you away. So black makes a knife inherently more threatening. So it's not a very non-threatening knife. I'll give it a B+. And the plus is because you can open it two-handed. Okay. Now let's do the GK part, the gentleman's knife. Well, the good news is a lot of things, really. The good news is premium materials, titanium, M390 steel, polished micarta. Premium materials make a gentleman's accessory more classy. It's a handsome knife when it's closed, not so when it's open. It's subtle, again, simple shape. It's hard to get. That may change, but right now it's hard to get. And something that is harder to get, that not everybody has one, makes something more attractive as a gentleman's accessory. Cool finish, that PV gill. I don't like the black. The finish is cool looking. And I do like the understated writing. There's only a couple of places where there's any markings. Superlative, there's the stupid spelling of superlative. Superlative on the back of the knife. M390 on the blade, and a little logo on the other end of the blade, and that's it. So I like that it's understated. It doesn't carry a lot of advertising and web URLs and crap like that. So a lot of good. On the bad for being a gentleman's knife, the shallow carry clip that is not easy to get on your pocket is definitely a mark against it. And it is kind of thick and chunky. That occupies a lot of width in the pocket. It is not a slim knife. Nevertheless, I think it does fairly well as a gentleman's knife. I'd give it an A+, if that was a separate rating. So as an NTGK, B+ for non-threatening, A+ for gentleman's knife, I'll give it an A as an NTGK. Now, what about the KN rating, which is what will my knife nerd friends think? Well, the pros are that, first of all, just it's a new collaboration by respected designers. So all my knife nerd friends are going to, oh, that's really cool. I know his work. Great mechanism, just a joy to open and easy to close. A great blade, premium steel. Knife nerd friends will like all those things. And for the cons, I really can't think of anything. So I'm going to give it a A+ as a knife nerd rating. And finally, for the cut myself rating, well, it'll get an A. I haven't cut myself on it. And despite being a front flipper, I don't think I'm going to cut myself on it because it's just so easy to handle in a safe manner. So an A as a CMR. And that brings us to the end. First, there's some newness here. This is new to me. It's my first new knife in a long time. And it's a new knife from a new manufacturer, which is a new collaboration. So boy, there's the word new used a whole bunch of times. It's handsome, it's understated, great materials, very high-end manufacturing, all things that I like. It's a little scary looking with that stabby blade for a skittish office, but it is a fine carry blade. If they come out with a drop point version, less stabby looking, it could easily become one of my favorites. It really is well done. So it's nice to be back. Again, I won't see you as often, but every now and then, I hope you'll join me for another knife that happens by. Thanks for watching this one. Bye-bye.